Hey, BNN Squad. I hope you're ready for an intense tale full of secrets and surprises. You're going to love how this one ends. Let's begin today's interesting story. I once believed that a decade of marriage was an unshakable foundation, a testament to love and respect that could withstand anything. My wife and I had built a life together, filled with shared experiences, routines, and what I thought was a deep connection. But as the years passed, I began to notice subtle cracks in the facade. Moments of disrespect from her and her friends started to surface. Small comments, dismissive gestures, and actions that I chose to overlook in my desire to keep the peace. I told myself that confronting these issues would only lead to conflict. So I buried my feelings, hoping that time would somehow heal what was broken. The turning point came during a hiking trip, one that was supposed to be a chance for us to reconnect and escape the monotony of our daily lives. We had planned it for weeks, and I was hopeful that the time away would bring us closer. But as we navigated a particularly challenging trail, I suddenly found myself alone. My wife and her friends had decided to leave me behind, forging ahead without a second thought. I stood there, stunned, as the reality of what had happened sank in. The confusion and hurt were overwhelming, but more than that, it was the realization of her cruelty that hit me like a wave. This wasn't just a careless oversight. It was a deliberate act of abandonment. In that moment, I knew my marriage was not the loving partnership I had believed it to be. The journey back home felt insurmountable. For 3 days, I traveled alone, wrestling with the emotional fallout of what had happened. At first, I tried to understand her actions, to rationalize why she would leave me behind. But that desire to make sense of it all quickly faded. What became clear was my need to respond, to take control of my life and reclaim it from the wreckage of our relationship. I couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine when it so clearly wasn't. When I finally returned home, I took decisive steps to protect myself. I changed the locks on our house, secured my belongings, and consulted with a lawyer to navigate the impending separation. These actions felt foreign and daunting, as if I were stepping into a role I had never imagined for myself. I had always been the peacemaker, the one who avoided conflict at all costs. But now, I was preparing for a battle I never wished to fight. It was a strange and unsettling feeling, but I knew it was necessary. As the days turned into weeks, I watched as my wife continued her life seemingly without remorse. Her social media posts during our separation were filled with joy and laughter, a stark contrast to the turmoil I was experiencing. It was as if our marriage had meant nothing to her, as if she had already moved on without a second thought. This only solidified my resolve to end the marriage. If she could move on so easily, then I needed to do the same. I couldn't keep holding on to something that was clearly broken. During this time, I focused on my emotional recovery. I threw myself into work, finding solace in routine and the sense of purpose it provided. I reconnected with friends who had been sidelined during my marriage, rediscovering the support and camaraderie I had been missing. Each small step towards rebuilding my life felt like a victory, a reminder that I was capable of moving forward, even in the face of such pain. The divorce proceedings were grueling, a process that revealed the true depths of her manipulative behavior. Her lawyer attempted to paint me in a negative light, twisting facts and exaggerating minor disagreements to make me seem like the villain. But I held firm, determined to present my truth. I wasn't going to let her rewrite the narrative of our marriage to suit her needs. I had been abandoned, emotionally neglected, and disrespected, and I was ready to fight for the justice I deserved. In court, I found unexpected support. The judge recognized the abandonment I had suffered and the emotional cruelty I had endured. Rulings during the temporary orders favored me, affirming that I was not the villain in this story. It was a small victory, but it gave me the strength to keep going, to see the process through to the end. 6 months after that fateful day on the trail, the divorce was finalized. As the papers were signed, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The end of my marriage marked the beginning of a new chapter, one brimming with potential and freedom from the toxic relationship that had held me captive for so long. I was finally free to rebuild my life on my own terms. The following year was transformative. I embraced my newfound independence, exploring interests I had long neglected, and nurturing relationships that had been overshadowed by my marriage. I learned to rediscover myself, to find joy in solitude, and to heal from the emotional turmoil that had once consumed me. It was an easy journey, but it was one that I needed to take. Then, unexpectedly, I encountered my ex-wife a year after our divorce. She approached me, an expression of remorse on her face. She shared that she had been in therapy, working through her issues and reflecting on her past behavior. In that moment, I recognized her growth, but more importantly, I acknowledged my own. I had traveled a long road to healing, and I understood that this experience, while painful, had ultimately led me to a place of freedom and self-discovery. As we parted ways, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. I had learned to forgive not just her, but myself as well. The journey through the darkness had illuminated a path towards a brighter future, one that I was finally ready to embrace. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. I had survived the storm, and now I was ready to thrive.